moving. Now, picture, right now, we have a limited number that we know about. But thanks to the Hubble telescope, we've learned that there's many, many more planets. Our universe is considerably larger than what we thought it was. Again, keep it and reduce it in size. That's strictly my opinion. I don't know about Pluto because that wasn't my area of skill, but I would suspect something like that over the eons of time has happened. But if you get a chance in your studies and when you're home with your computer, by all means look up the Hubble, Hubble telescope, and you can see pictures that the Hubble has made. See, we're limited. We can't see too far because of our optical limitations. But Hubble just magnified it. And now with the Hubble, you can see considerably more heavenly bodies than what we thought was existing out there. Do you have any other questions?
Madison had one.
What is the most memorable experience in all your space experience? Have you ever floated in 0 degrees gravity simulator?
No, I haven't. Well, I take that back. How many of you have been in a commercial airplane when you hit bad weather? You ever had a sinking feeling when that aircraft drops real quick that you were floating? That is 0 G. Now, in your question, I take that to mean a sustain. No, I haven't. But those that have been in it, and one of my dearest friends is one of the Apollo 13 astronauts, Fred Hayes by name. Those guys have been in 0 G a lot of times, and it's relatively easy to do things in 0 G, but we don't know the long-term effects of 0 G on the body. Just from the Apollo missions and so forth, and the shuttle missions, when those guys get back on Earth, we've noticed that they didn't have their full stamina, their bones had not, they were having some bone problems. Not significant, I mean, they could overcome them, but just being confined to being able to easily do something, then when things got harder, when you got back out of the 0 G environment, it was taxing. But to answer your question, continuously, no. Momentarily, yes. And I'm sure that those of you that have encountered that know the funny feeling of 0 G. Now, one of my dearest friends, he's deceased now, but he was a veterinarian and also a pathologist. And his job, he was selected to train the original space, I call them monkeys, but they were not monkeys, chimpanzees. And he used to tell me about training for that. What they would do is they would go up to about 45,000 feet in an aircraft in order to simulate the 0 G, and then point the aircraft straight down. And they were in 0 G for a while, and they could evaluate the chimpanzees like that. But now the reason why he got chosen, he was a pilot after he graduated from college. He was a pilot in the Air Force, and then he later got his veterinary medicine degree. And they needed a veterinarian that had training as a flight pilot, and at the time they needed them, there was only 5 in the whole Air Force, and he got selected. And so he would frequently tell me about that 0 G. But I don't know if I could do that or not. That, over a continuous, I think they had a 0 G for something like a minute or 2 minutes, and then the plane would have to pull out of it. But that's the way early in the program they simulated it. Now, the next closest thing to zero G is swimming, the swimming pool. Because when you're in swimming in a pool, you don't feel the effects of gravity as much as you do otherwise, because the water tends to float you. That's a very good question. Any other questions?
Devon.
What is it like working at NASA? What is it like working at NASA?
It was a lot of fun. Oddly enough, most people don't know this, but NASA had the ability to bring together a lot of people. Most all the flight controllers, like myself, were actually employees of Ford Motor Company. I was an engineer for Ford Motor Company. Ford Motor Company didn't really know what I did, period. They just knew I worked at NASA. Because the way it worked, the government paid Ford Motor Company for my salary plus a cost of 10%. And NASA directed all of us. Well, on some phases of some flight, it might be a Ford guy in charge. On the next flight, it might have been a North American that built the Apollo. It might have been a General Electric guy. I'd say probably 85 or 90% of the controllers were Ford engineers. Probably less than 1% were actually government employees. Okay, do I have any other questions?
May I have your autograph?
You don't want my autograph? Yes, Angie.
How big was the biggest crater? How big was it?
They're extremely large, like miles. Like miles. 10 or 12 miles.
Mr. Pringle, we have about 10 minutes. Do you want to show them your...
Yes, let me take her.
Go ahead.
Is NASA ever going to put a man on Mars?
You know, this is my opinion. I think anybody that believes we're gonna land somebody on Mars in the next 10 years is mistaken. Right now, number one, using the present thrusters that we have now, the present engine, you know how long it'd take to get to Mars? 1 year. 1 year, come back. That's 2 years, and you hadn't spent any time on Mars. Now, mind you, that is assuming that you got a large enough engine that would carry the fuel to run for a year. So until we develop some boosters that can get us there, I don't foresee us landing on Mars. I'd say probably 2025 at the earliest. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's just my opinion. And then, let me sign this for her, and then I'll show you something else here. There you go. Okay, I've got some things here you might want to see. This is an award I got from NASA. It's called an Apollo Achievement Award in recognition for my service to NASA. Anybody know who this is? Neil Armstrong. He is he was the commander on the Eagle. He's the one that actually said, Houston Tranquility Base, Eagle is landed. I'm going to show you this. This I'm real proud of. This is an American flag that was actually carried to the surface of the moon and lay on the moon's surface on Apollo 12 for several hours, and then was picked back up and brought back. These flags, each flight controller got one of these flags, and each astronaut at the time. We had 2 mission control rooms at NASA Houston. And we would operate from one during any mission. And while we were operating from that one, the other control room was being configured for the next shot. Because keep in mind what I told you, crawl before you walk and walk before you run. Each shot was configured different than the next shot. All right, here I have all of the different badges of the different missions. Here's the Apollo 11. I've got the Apollo 11 pin on my lapel. This particular insignia was designed by the guy that didn't land on the moon. It was circling the moon on Apollo 11. He's the one that designed it. And it's an eagle with an olive branch. And in the upper left-hand corner, you can see the Earth surface with craters on it. But these are the individual symbols. Do I need to stop?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. It is an honor.
All right.